Hey, hope you're doing well today here in our sweet little group full of my favorite bakers. This is Melissa. I am Melissa. If we've never met before, I am the owner and the main mentor at Build a Better Bakery, where we work continuously to cultivate an inclusive environment, very important, inclusive environment where baking business can be simple for you, right? So we're going to lose the overwhelm, the uncertainty, the low self-esteem. That's going out the door. We're going to replace it with joy and a roadmap to something beautiful, because that's going to look different for everyone. So the main point is just helping you build something that makes you feel good. Our team and all of our resources are here for you, so you don't have to do this baking biz thing alone, because a lot of people do, but you don't have to. So that's why we're here to hang out. Go ahead and throw up your hashtag replay if you're viewing this on the replay. I'm just going to double check that everything is good to go. Hey, Kelsey. Hey, Kat. Good to see you. Okay. So I can tell that this is kind of a popular topic because we're talking about 2023 stats. We're talking about 2023 industry trends. And I just want to say, before we get into all of this, I have gathered this information for one of the elite bakers. I'm going to share some of it with you today. The rest of it I shared with her, like the whole thing I shared with her for her specific questions in the elite program. But the information that I'm giving you is sourced from some select analysts that I've read their information that they've put out for usually between like 3 to 5 year trends. So it's not going to be something like, hey, you need to make cocoa bombs, right? It's not going to be that kind of trend information. It's more of industry trend. So if you have questions as we go through this, let me know. You can use this to discuss with other bakers, this thread, if you want to talk about what you're noticing in your area, or if you just, have something to say about the topic, please talk about it, because this is something, we're all involved in the same industry. So we need to continue the conversation on our own as well. Now, today's topic, as I mentioned, is all about peeking into 2023. We are going to talk a little bit about predictions and when the new year starts rolling around, right, it's the 1st. So we're 1 month away, January 1, it's going to be 2023. We have to start writing a new number on our checks, and all the papers that we sign, 2023, have to remember. If you can believe it, I wrote 1989 on something the other day. It literally doesn't make sense, but I did do it. So I have to remember to start writing 2023. And the whole purpose of talking about this is just to help you feel more comfortable. So giving you a heads up about what might work better for your business as the new year comes around. How can you stay ahead of the game? Some of the things I'm going to talk about today might help with that. And I will also mention that after doing this couple years in a row, every year watching the tides of how people deal with the new year in the baking industry, a lot of people like to make big changes, just kind of like new year, new me. It goes hand in hand with just dealing with your business and being a baker in general as well. Even if you're also doing that in your personal life, you might also be doing it in business. So I'm seeing a lot of people saying they want to rebrand, they want to reimagine their workspace, right? They want to create a new area to work in, or they want to upgrade. A lot of people think about launching new products or services starting in the new year. And even some people like to land and solidify new business deals starting on the new year so that it's a year-long contract. So that does happen a lot of times in the month of January, kind of a lot going on for growth. And you might feel like you have a lot of energy to put towards making changes. So again, why we're talking about it now is you would have about 30 days to kind of brainstorm how you want to go about it after we talk about it today. And I do want to mention that you can keep your eye out for a workshop that I plan on hosting in January. I plan on doing more workshops next year once I can get a break from what's going on right now. And what it will be a short workshop built to guide you to create a business that you love, something that fuels you, rather than a business that's filled with obligation, which a lot of us have, and burnout situations, which is really popular. People just end up in those situations. So that workshop will focus on asking you some really important questions so you can build the one that you want, right? The business that's going to fuel you rather than what you don't want. And everyone's going to be different. So that's why we're going to work on it together. Okay, go ahead and throw up your hashtag live if you haven't already. I know a number of you have, which is great. Kat says inflation has a lot of us reconsidering how or if we will do business. Yeah, exactly. We'll talk a little bit about that too. And I'll give you some stats on the predicted growth of the industry as a whole, just to kind of set your expectations of what it might look like next year. Now, if you want to know about these lives, you can check the events in the group. I usually post a couple days before what we're going to be talking about. The easiest way is to send me a friend request to Melissa Fryer on this platform on Facebook, and I can send you an invite directly. So when I make the event, you get the invite. It's super easy, but we have to be friends because the group is too large. They won't allow me to just invite everyone. So that's the way you have to do it, the most direct way. Or if you don't mind just seeing things on replay, you can get on the email list and I will send out replay links, but I don't always send everything. And sometimes they're not, you get them later than, it would have been beneficial for you to have it during the actual session. So that's kind of the drawback to being on the email list and only using it for that purpose. So just to put that out there, you will get a lot of them, but it might be a little late. All right, now in this session, I want to touch on three like topic groups that were brought up in the elite program that I mentioned earlier. And the whole reason it was brought up in there, the way that it was brought up, is because I had an elite baker who's working on her business plan. She's been putting it together. She's been working super hard on it. And she asked some questions that I thought were just so good. Like the questions were just really timely and important. And after sending her a whole compiled document list, essentially, of future baking industry specific information, I brought all that together for her. I shared it for her to see and use in her plan. I decided to pull just a few bits out to share here because I think that you don't need all the information, or maybe you do want the information. Either way, I think having just even these things is going to be important, and it's very streamlined. So that's why we're going to talk about that today. And again, these are opinions of analysts, things that I've compiled on my own. This is baking industry as a whole. We all focus on different areas, so just keep in mind, some of these numbers might not be specifically for someone who only sells designer cookies. It might be literally people selling cookies and breads and all things together, the larger stat numbers. So just understand that it's likely numbers reflecting the entire industry rather than just your specific niche, okay? Number one, I want to talk about customer interests. This could be the trend, right, that you are thinking of. Now, this is not going to be a specific product because those are all very volatile, come and go opportunities. I don't have that information to give you because I'm not, a magician or mind reader. I don't know exactly how that's going to go down. But there do seem to be shifting interest to these few areas I'm going to list off. You can grab a notebook if you want to jot them down, or just watch this later. The first is quality over quantity. So there have been some interest and predictions to show that people are spending less on lots of lower grade items and spending more on fewer quality items. Does that make sense? So instead of 2 dozen cheapo cupcakes, they're buying 1 dozen really good cupcakes, if that makes sense. Okay. Number 2 is artisanal and premium. So just keeping in mind, people like homemade stuff. They want you to use good ingredients, things like that. Another is childhood memory invoking products and comfort foods. So just because it makes you think about something in your childhood or is a comfort food, it doesn't mean it has to be low quality, but those feelings are helping people feel better during a time of uncertainty, during a time of recession vibes. We're still recovering from the COVID situation. People want to feel good. So thinking of those 2 categories as ways, if you want to launch a new product or if you're thinking of launching a new line, those might be areas to start in if you think that that's something you would like to offer. Also, something we've talked about before, Instagrammable items. Not always possible, but if you can work it out to be kind of kitschy or nichey or high-end or even photo-friendly packaging, you'll likely see more people posting photos of your items on social if it looks good already. It's just an easier avenue for them to do it if they don't have to stage the product. Then you'll likely see that shared more. And then lastly, high-end health foods. This can be touch and go because sometimes health foods they have an interesting texture. The tastes are kind of strange. So you still need to pay attention to the recipes, of course. but this could look like lowering sugar content. I love doing that. I have lower sugar content in a lot of what I sell, just because I think it tastes better and you don't get that, sugar brain headache and all the things that come with being over sugared. So I think focusing on that might be good. Using hearty ingredients, things that actually fill a person up. And then of course, balanced profiles on your recipes so that when people are eating your products, there might be something in there that's good for them. That maybe they don't even taste it because you balanced it well, or the texture works with the recipe, or whatever that might be. All right, number 2, the second section is determining how to offer products in size. There's expected to continue to be an increase in on-the-go items. People eat in their cars all the time. A lot of the restrictions are being lifted, so people are traveling more, they're out and about. If we know that they might not have as much money in the next few years because of everything that's happening with the economy, possible the on-the-go item is smaller and more convenient. So just continue to notice that those items will likely continue to be rising in demand. So if you can get a single serve in a packaged version of what you sell on hand often and available, likely you will sell more of those. And just as an example, if you make cakes and that's what you do, that's a big product. So consider having a slice option or a smaller option available when you can, to help drive those sales. And then section number 3 is about if you're a shop owner or if you're looking to expand your offers, consider adding experience-based products. So something that involves the consumer. There are lots of options. I do a lot of that with my business because of the type of business that I have. So super simple examples would be like take home and bake bread loaves, paint your own cookies, cookie dippers, anything where the client is doing something when they're eating or using the product and being kind of involved in it. Those are exciting for people. Or even inviting other experiences or events into your space. If you have a storefront, that would obviously get people into the door, get you connected with the community. All of those are, and likely because the COVID restrictions are being lessened, more people are going to be out and about. So that could be another thing in 2023 to consider adding. Or a premium coffee option. If you don't sell coffee or drinks, there is normally a good profit margin on drinks because the labor is pretty low. So when you're considering something to add, instead of adding like kind of a cheapy coffee option, maybe do something more premium or have just a couple choices of a premium coffee rather than lots of cheap stuff, if that makes sense, because we know that artisanal and premium are kind of where people are headed. So that's something to consider. And then lastly, having celebration options and packages available because groups and events are starting to take place again at larger levels. I heard on NPR a couple of days ago that the traveling numbers being reported by airlines are pre-pandemic numbers for this season. So not only does that mean that people are out and about as they were before the pandemic, having those events, likely there's probably going to be some sicknesses going around in the next few weeks. So just be careful because people are going to be traveling a lot. So know that. And then lastly, actually, let me check the comments real quick. Sarah's here. Kit says, I've been researching roasting my own coffee beans. Yeah, could be a good idea. Coffee is an interesting and intricate business to be in. So definitely, if you're going to be roasting, the equipment's expensive. Getting the beans can be kind of hairy. You want to make sure that you are, to the best of your ability, purchasing products, fair trade, and all of that comes with coffee. So yeah, definitely the research behind it and making sure that it seems like something, because outsourcing, your own roast profile, that can be done too. So you can pay someone to roast it to your specs and then put your label on it, right? So do you really need the whole area for roasting or not, etc.? Just weighing the options. All right. Now, lastly, I wanted to provide some stats to help curb your expectations for those looking to start a baking business in 2023, or like was mentioned, going back and forth if they should continue in 2023. In a nutshell, I'm just going to do nutshell and then a little explanation. In a nutshell, you will likely not be getting super rich off this industry. If you've been in the industry for more than 5 years, you probably already know this. You can make money, you can make a living. Thankfully, we are sitting right in front of the inflation curve for 2023 predicted. So you can likely still make a living like many of us do, right? It's not impossible, but because we're so close to the inflation number, which I'll share with you in a moment, there is a possibility that you will not make that much money, especially if you don't have profitable pricing, if you aren't able to find a market gap in your area to create consistent sales, if you have trouble advertising. A lot of this we can help you with through our various resources, but if it's just something that's not going to work for you or you don't want to do it, then yes, that could be the deal breaker next year because, and I'll mention why that is in just a moment. I do want to say that the positive to what we do is that because we make consumable goods, the rate of repurchase is much higher than non-consumable. So likely you're going to sell more product because you're making a muffin versus a bracelet, right? Like once a person buys a bracelet, they likely don't buy a million, well, not a million, but a ton more bracelets right after that because they already have a bracelet. So this means that you can likely create a network of return clients. If your business practices stay sharp and you're on it, you can likely create that kind of system of repurchasing, which could help you out next year, especially if we're coming really close to the inflation number. You want to stay on top so that you can continue to make that income. All right, now I'm going to throw the stats at you. Sales are slowly trending upward with an expected 5.1% growth in 2023. So what does that mean? Growth is great. Not every industry has growth, all right? So having growth at all is great. Average inflation is sitting at 3 to 4%. Last year or this year, it was a lot higher. It's like around 7%. So that's why, if you think about it, okay, that's likely why a lot of us felt super strapped, especially in business this last year, because inflation was crazy. If you look, I've shared a couple, I don't have them here, but I shared a couple of charts in the Elite showing the numbers of just the last like 20 years. The inflation is out of this world from 2022, okay? It's like not really it's not common. So everything we felt this year, if you felt strapped, you really were, right? It was part of what is and was happening to us. So because it's normally sitting at 3 to 4%, next year, if we can imagine that it's going to be around 3 to 4% again, and it's 5.1% growth, we're right in front of that, meaning we should make money, right? If it was below 3 to 4%, then likely that would be another like, I don't know, that could be a problem. Another thing that you might have noticed is that if you saw bakers raising prices in Q4, like over the last few months, or wanting to raise prices in January 1, this is likely why, from everything that happened this year. I've already raised my prices. I've talked in the Elites about how I did that, the purpose of that, why that is. So if you're thinking about raising prices, I suggest doing it because likely if you ran the hard numbers, you would see that that is necessary. There's also reports showing that consumer confidence, which is one indicator of how people spend their money and how often they spend their money, consumer confidence is not expected to rise that much next year. So this has a lot to do with interest rates rising, which are going to continue to rise in 2023. Fear of recession is one of the main indicators that I was seeing of the consumer confidence numbers lowering. And likely this is going to be impacting spending all the way till 2028, right? It's kind of like a long-term thing. It doesn't just go away. So we have to understand that consumer confidence in purchasing could be an issue, especially where you live, depending on what the economy looks like. And this may mean that spending will be the same or fairly consistent to what you've seen this year, maybe a little bit more, but likely similar because the confidence numbers aren't really moving. Now, because we're looking at some obstacles going into 2023, right? There's some good news, there's some bad news, there's some okay news. Because we're looking at them, this means that making researched plans for your business, staying on top of your numbers, so not being afraid to actually look at the hard numbers and see, hey, what's going on? Having truly profitable prices built on an actual multi-part pricing formula that takes into consideration what's going on around you. And lastly, being willing to learn new things. That's a big one, because if we need to shift, if we need to change, if we need to do new stuff, you have to be willing to do it. These are all things that will move us into the new year. And if we're doing them, could possibly, if we are or aren't doing them, right, could possibly make or break our opportunity, right? So those are things that I think are really important that I would focus on. Research plans, staying on top of the numbers, profitable prices, get that figured out, and then willing to learn a new thing or two to try to get yourself through this situation. And that will help you stay on top of the industry, right? But you have to do a little bit of work to get up there. So just keep in mind that I'm here to help. That's why I'm here right now. That's why we're talking right now. You may have other resources to use as well. I highly suggest using any resource that you feel comfortable with. It's going to help you no matter what. Even if you just have a short conversation with someone, likely they'll say something to you that will help you move forward. And knowing in your heart that everything you try might not work. You might launch a product and it flops. You might launch a subscription and it flops. You might try to set up a partnership and it doesn't work out. That's okay. That's part of it. I expect that happens to you. I do not expect that every single thing you do is successful. That wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't be real. So I expect you to fail, but if you keep going and you're willing to try new things, you'll likely get through what you're going through and get to the next stage of whatever that looks like for your business. So just staying flexible, I think, is really important. Looking into 2023 and reading about all the different stats and trends that our industry has in store for us next year. Yeah, good coffee is hard to find, for sure. I don't have anyone to suggest to you, but maybe I'll look into that. Okay, so if you'd like to receive more in-depth and specialized help with your business, as I mentioned, the Elite membership is open. That's where you get most of the in-depth answers to your questions. You can literally just be like, hey, Melissa, help me with your business plan. I help you with it, that kind of thing. So it's just like a closer group to me and the team. And you get a ton of vault trainings and little mini courses and things that we've done over the years. It's all in there for you too, so you can learn on your own as well. It doesn't always have to be like a one-on-one conversation, or you can even do a private coaching session. So via Zoom, we hang out, talk about what you need to talk about, get you a plan set up, and then you're good to go. And I'm hoping this information is of use to you. No, it's not the sexiest topic, but I think it's useful to hear it and know that it exists. And I think having 30 days to kind of think about what's going on will help you as we move into January 1. I know that it helped me. There's a couple things on my mind, so I still need to make a super hard decision, but I feel like it's helping me decide. There's one thing that I really just don't think I want to do that I've been considering. So I think I'm going to cut that out for January 1 because I think I've convinced myself it's probably not a good idea. So anyway, I am off to organize my big messy pile of cookie cutters. Aren't you jealous? I'm going to go do that. I'll see you in the group. You can DM me with questions. You can check out the website resources, stuff on there you can use right away. But you can always message me if you want to know something specific. I open my inbox to you if you would like to use that. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions come in. So fill in the thread if you have questions, you want to chat with people, you want to talk more about the different things we touched on today, feel free. Otherwise, I'll see you all later, and I hope you have a lovely Thursday and a lovely weekend. Bye.